President Muhammadu Buhari declared June 12 as Democracy Day in recognition of the annulled June 12, 1993 presidential election, where late MKO Abiola was presumed to have won the election. That singular executive proposal, backed by legislative endorsement, has changed the democratic map of the country. However, beyond the change of date and the commendations that followed lies the questions of how has Nigeria fared in its democratization journey. What are the successes and the obstacles? These and many more we will be discussing tonight on Weekend File. And Sheriff Gali Ibrahim, a professor of political science, University of Abuja, will deal with the issues raised. I'm Joseph Johnson. The news comes first.
In the last 2 years, we have witnessed and overcome a good number of testy challenges that would have destroyed other nations, especially relating to our collective security.
President Muhammadu Buhari said he is not unmindful of the reason Nigerians yearned for his presidency in 2015, that is, to put an end to the growing insecurity, especially terrorism and insurgency. He, however, said the unintended consequences of scattering the criminal elements in the northeast pushed them further in country with the misguided belief that adherence to the democratic norms handicaps his administration from tackling
citizens that every incident however minor gives me great worry and concern. We will, by the grace of God, put an end to these challenges.
The president said since coming to power, security agencies have been provided with all they require relative to available resources, and as the dynamics unfold, nothing will be left to chance towards putting an end to the security concerns.
The indefatigable can-do spirit of the Nigerian has sustained us and will keep pushing us to put these challenges behind us. Overcoming the present challenges is but one of the necessary processes that we have to undergo as a nation so that we can come out stronger.
Describing poverty and youth unemployment as the twin underlying drivers of insecurity, President Buhari said unprecedented steps have been taken towards addressing them through various interventions in critical economic sectors.
I will be the first to admit that in spite of our efforts and achievements, which are there for all to see, there is still much more to be done, and we are doing our best. Our overall economic target of lifting 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in 10 years is our goal.
Already, he said, 10.5 million Nigerians have been lifted out of poverty in 2 years. And on the June 12th Democracy Day celebration, the president made a case for Nigerians to get involved by supporting a democratic system that works for all and demand accountability from elected leaders.
As your president, I remain committed to providing an enabling environment for a free, fair, and credible electoral system under my tenure.
He formally appreciated Nigerians for their patience, understanding, and resolve to join hands in not only keeping Nigeria one, but making her the country of their dream. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, as President Muhammadu Buhari gives his Democracy Day message, states on their part mark the day, though without elaborate celebrations. Mia Ogidi in this report compiled some of the moments from the states.
The Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, no funfair but free drive for those on the road. The host to such days, the famous Eagle Square, empty. But just stretch of the neck from the Eagle Square, youths are sighted at the Unity Fountain, making the best of the day.
Also to tell Nigerians that we must continue to look at Nigeria as our one and only country. We cannot afford to plunge this country into a state of anarchy.
Lagos, somewhat a hotspot. Hoodlums came out early to disrupt the celebration at the Gani Fayemi Park, but defeated by the strength of the police.
Those who are miscreants, we are ready for them. So as early as 2 a.m. now, we have been out. And this is just the fifth place I'm coming. So I've gone to Lagos Island. I've seen that the Lagos Island, the markets are opening now. So the traditional areas of assemblage, we've taken care of those areas.
Drums of celebration and walk of victory for democracy and movement of spiritual offering were visible at the MKO Abiola Stadium and the Abiola Country Home in Ogun State. The man whose name lives after him in a positive note, and this excites Governor Biodun Dagbo of Ogun State.
MP Abiola and his mandate should serve as a reminder to all of us that we are stronger together as a nation.
An indoor celebration with an academic undertone. That was how the day was celebrated in Osogbo, Osun State. A lecture dwelling on the making of a nation and Nigeria democracy in progress was the topic, and Governor Boyega Oyetola did justice to the topic.
Nigeria want to dialogue to correct the anomalies in the system and to determine the essence of their corporate existence.
It was a gathering of academics, labor unionists, and traditional rulers. All commended President Buhari for taking a great step in declaring June 12 as Democracy Day. Many wounds permanently healed. The gathering submitted. Mie Ogede, NTA News.
In the meantime, Tribeniger is advancing conversations for a united and prosperous Nigeria through democratic engagement of the citizenry through its new electronic media platform. Convener of Advocacy for One Nigeria initiative, Kola Abiola, said this at a fireside chat to mark 2021 Democracy Day with the theme, This Thing Called Democracy. Musa Abubakar reports.
The national anthem and spoken word best describe the mood of Democracy Day here.
Why we chose a flag colored in freedom, for now we would be kings in this, our kingdom.
It's been more than 20 years of democracy for the country and therefore a cause to celebrate. Speakers were particular in their tribute to the late Chief MKO Abiola and Shehu Musa Yar'Adua for their contributions to democracy and need to build on lasting democratic ideals and principles to move the country forward.
I sat with a group of people and said, you know what, we need to set up something that identifies us as first Nigerian. Not by a song, not by religion, not even dialect within languages, but first and foremost Nigerian. And that's why the whole thing called Tribe Nigeria first, and now Tribe Nigeria was born.
Young people have the power to make it work, and that is about how we organize and build power.
We must understand that we are power. You know, numbers. Politics is numbers. What stops us as young people to get, and we have the numbers.
Climax of the event was the launching of Tribeniger social media application, which will serve as a platform to unite Nigerians and advance discussions on moving the country forward. In Abuja, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
And the All Progressives Congress congratulates Nigerians on the occasion of the 2021 Democracy Day. The APC joined Nigerians and true Democrats in expressing gratitude to President Buhari for his display of political will in the posthumous honor to Chief MKO Abiola, the presumed winner of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, who paid the ultimate price in the struggle to actualize his unjustifiably won mandate. Also, President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, says the day is of tremendous significance for Nigerians who struggled so gallantly to establish democracy in their beloved country and have nurtured it with their tireless participation in the process. He reaffirmed the resolve of the National Assembly to pass the PIB Electoral Act Amendment and the Constitution Amendment Bills, urging Nigerians to remain steadfast in their commitment to nurturing the nation's democracy. National leader of the APC, Bola Tinubu, on his part, says one of the most profound and inspiring accounts that shall be written in the nation's history will be the chapter on how the country moved from the darkness of authoritarian military suppression into the light of democracy and the establishment of popular government based on the sovereign will of the people. Bola Tinubu called on Nigerians to remember MKO Abiola, whose victory in the June 12, 1993 presidential election revived democracy in the country. Similarly, the Speaker, House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila, notes that since the return of democratic governance in 1999, Nigeria has witnessed progress and development in terms of physical infrastructure and freedom of choice and expression, which are part of the key pillars of democracy. Gbajabiamila expressed delight that citizens have been giving their democratic leaders support for the past 2 decades, calling for more support and cooperation. Hope rises as the National Assembly promises that in the next 2 months, the nation will witness remarkable legislations passed. This was made known by President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, at the unveiling of a photo book in honor of the Speaker, House of Representatives. State House correspondent Jidoni Fade reports.
President of the Senate of Nigeria, Ahmed Lawan, says the task ahead of the 2 chambers in the next 2 years is how to put up better legislation that will provide good times for all Nigerians, stressing that the hand is already on the plow and that no room must be given to distraction of any guise.
We should not allow any opportunity by anyone to take us away from the mission of making this country better. We face challenges, but challenges are likely to be everywhere, depending on our circumstances. But we can do better when we remain committed and focused on resolving these challenges.
Don't mess with the Lagos boy.
The photo book is titled Gbajabiamila, The Long Road, and it captured exciting moments in the political journey of the Speaker. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, while unveiling the book, says the Nigerian youths will continue to flourish given the abundant talent they possess.
He is an effective bridge builder across tribes, across religion, across political parties, and even generations. And he has proved to be an innovative mediator and an honest broker in several local and national disputes and conflicts.
Notable Nigerians also applauded Speaker Olufemi Gbajabiamila as a great leader.
His political sojourn has been a very long one. Though we belong to different political parties, and of course, hold opposing political views on governance issues, such do not below us. Once recognition of Femi's personal and distinctive accomplishments as a leader in our national polity, including as the Speaker of the 9th House of Representatives, where I lead the opposition.
I hope that in this generation and the next, we will learn lessons from these stories and be inspired and motivated by them. And I hope that the stories we tell bring us closer together as friends, brethren, and citizens.
They also commended the author of the book, Ayo Adeagbo, personal photographer of Speaker, for the initiative. In Abuja, Jide Onifate, NT News.
Elsewhere, Nigerian Senate says it will sustain its support to the armed forces in the ongoing fight against insurgency and other forms of insecurity in the country. Senate President Ahmad Lawan said this during a visit to the wounded officers and soldiers who are receiving medical attention at the 44 Nigerian Army Reference Hospital. Kaduna Muhammad Umar Ajingu reports.
Senate President Ahmad Ibrahim Lawan, in company of 10 other senators and the Kaduna State Governor Nasiru Ahmed El-Rufai, at a 600-bed capacity Army Reference Hospital Kaduna to show empathy, solidarity, and appreciation to the officers and soldiers wounded in the line of duty.
We are carrying out a cardiothoracic surgery in the theater.
The visit, which coincides with Democracy Day celebration, climaxes activities by Northern senators to commemorate the 2-year anniversary of the present Senate.
And I want to assure you once more that beyond the supplementary budget, in the 2022 appropriation, will ensure that we provide more resources for our armed forces, and I hope that the armed forces will prioritize the investments in hospitals like this.
The 44 Army Reference Hospital has so far treated about 7,000 officers and soldiers wounded in the line of duty. The Senate donated the sum of 10 million naira to the hospital. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar Ajinki, NTA News.
Now, in February 2020, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, announced a number of stimulus measures targeted at small businesses and households impacted by COVID-19, and also granted forbearance on existing facilities of the bank. Leah Katun-Babatunde in this report traces the impact of that action on businesses nationwide as the country continues on its recovery path.
The global economy has continued to recover from a 6-quarter-long COVID-19 decline with lingering uncertainties. With improved access to vaccines, policymakers see better days ahead, and these, they say, can be greatly improved upon if jobs are saved. In this regard, the Central Bank of Nigeria has continued to support government's recovery plans to place the economy on a desired trajectory.
When the pandemic struck effectively, we said all CBN intervention facilities will now go at 5%. And what we did is also expand that in 2021 into March 2022.
Already, 29,023 people have benefited from the Agribusiness Small and Medium Enterprises Investment Scheme (AXMIS), cut across the 6 geopolitical zones, valued at 111.7 billion naira as at May 14, 2021.
Before we assessed the loan, we had about 9 staff, so we have up to 21 staff here at the moment.
With the Anchor Borrowers Program, 631.4 billion naira has been granted to more than 3 million smallholder farmers cultivating 3.8 million hectares of land, while targeted credit facility disbursed so far is 253.4 billion naira.
The loan have really assisted us so much, even in the business, also in the household.
Other interventions include the Youth Investment Fund, Real Sector Intervention Fund, Creative Industry Financing Initiative, Healthcare Support Intervention Fund, and the Mass Metering Program. Leah Katun-Babatunde, NTA News.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has seized about 100,000 bottles of codeine syrup at the Onne Seaport, Port Harcourt, Rivers State. In a statement by the Director of Media and Advocacy of the agency, Femi Babafemi, says the codeine syrups were packed in 500 cartons and concealed in a container. In a related development, NDLEA operatives at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, seized 9 cartons of cat weighing 146.95 kilograms at the cargo wing of the airport. The consignment, packaged as dried green tea, was shipped from Addis Ababa on board Ethiopian Airline. Meanwhile, Chairman of the NDLEA, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, has commended the synergy among various government agencies at the Onne Port and Abuja Airport, charged them not to rest on their oars as they work hard to keep Nigeria safe. The Saudi Arabia authorities have directed that only citizens and residents of the kingdom will be allowed to perform this year's Hajj pilgrimage. The Ministries of Health and Hajj announced this Saturday that only 60,000 pilgrims will be allowed to perform the Hajj. The authorities also said the kingdom had an understanding from Muslim countries over the decision to limit this year's pilgrimage participants. President Muhammadu Buhari felicitates with Minister of State FCT Ramatu Aliyu as she clocks 51. He also congratulates her on her conferment of chieftaincy title by the Onyize of Ebira, His Royal Majesty Ohinoi Dr. Ado Ibrahim, and joins all members of the All Progressives Congress to celebrate the minister, whose antecedents as former women leader of the party and president of Council of African Political Parties has continued to inspire and attract more women into politics. While commending her for her loyalty and steadfastness in pursuing development at the grassroots level, President Buhari wishes Ramatu Aliyu all the best in her dedication and sacrifice for her community, country and humanity. We take a break now. Stay with the NTA, because when we return, our focus will remain on June 12 democracy. And of course, my guests will be joining me during the discussion segment.
The brightest stars, they burn with more passion. See that? Shooting star. Impressive, but no legs. Now that star is called Sirius. When I was a kid, I was inspired by that star. Like Sirius, I wanted to shine brighter. I wanted to stand out. That's a champion star, right? And it warms my heart to know that right now, that same star shines over a new generation of Nigerians, passionate about their dreams. Shine, my people, shine. Speaking of champions, the word Sirius is green. It means to glow. Coincidence? No way. Glow? A halo.
June 12, 1993 general elections remains a watershed in Nigeria's democracy, as it is adjudged the freest and fairest election in Nigeria and marked the commencement of the Fourth Republic. 28 years after, Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria, under the dynamic leadership of Alhaji Musa Mohammed, remembers and prays for the continuous repose of the lives that were lost in the struggle, especially the president that never served, Chief MKO Abiola, GCFR, and commends His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, on the historic recognition of June 12 as Nigeria's Democracy Day. It's 2021 Democracy Day in Nigeria, as we are stronger together. May the labor of our heroes past never be in vain. Congratulations, Nigeria. Uproad Super.
Here today, gone tomorrow. You volatile like the water, and you promise what you don't know. Sometimes it's right and then it's so wrong. Them go do like say them why, will promise you the world. Brother, all now worship. Upon all of the open eye, I see no be water, like you be letter.
Smartphone Network.
The National Union of Road Transport Workers, under the leadership of Tajuddin Ibikunle Barua, congratulates President Muhammadu Buhari, Nigerians, and members of the union on the June 12th Democracy Day celebrations. As we commemorate this remarkable and historic day, the union prays for peace, unity, and development of our great nation. Up national progress!
The much anticipated UEFA Euro 2021 is finally here. Can Portugal defend the title they won 4 years ago as they face world champions France, Europe giants Germany, Spain, Italy and England? Catch all the action via live transmission, in-depth studio analysis, fixtures, results, updates, and lots more on NTA, Africa's largest TV network. For sponsorship and advert placement, contact Bola on 08037044286 or Idris on 08034633644. This broadcast is proudly brought to you by NTA in partnership with Media Business Solutions, MBS Sports.
You're still watching NTA Weekend File with me, Joseph Johnson. The annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election left a protracted agony in Nigeria's political arena. It took 25 years to assuage the ill feelings with the declaration of June 12 as Nigeria's Democracy Day by President Buhari's administration. Musbao Danwahab traces the history of June 12 and its place in Nigerian democracy.
Federal military government in Nigeria has taken over the administration of the country.
The debut was deposed, and the second attempt truncated as Nigeria began a staggering journey of self-determination. And in 1993, a glimpse of hope for another democratic dispensation on June 12 was dashed in the process.
The annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election was one of the greatest setbacks Nigeria ever had as a country. I said one of the greatest because we had an election that was adjudged the freest and the fairest, and the people were looking forward to the emergence of a people-oriented government, to be led by MKO Abiola.
Nigerians spoke loud and clear, but all fell to deaf ears. Democracy returned in 1999, but the old wounds of June 12 was yet to be healed. Until 2018, when a government that also rode on the back of a similar popular mandate paid attention to the popular demand, June 12 was declared Nigeria's Democracy Day in place of May 29.
I tender the nation's apology.
And on behalf of the government, President Buhari apologized to the late MKO Abiola's family over the unpopular annulment of a popular mandate. He followed up with a posthumous national honors, Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, GCFR, to late Abiola and his running mate, Babagana Kingibe, GCON.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who would have ever believed, given the relationship that you had with Chief MK Abiola, that you would be the instrument God would use to honor this man and to bring reconciliation and healing to the country.
It was a soothing balm, not only to the Abiola's family, but also the entire living forces and voices behind the struggle.
The recognition of June 12 as Democracy Day is an acknowledgement of the power of the people. It's an acknowledgement of the sovereignty of the masses, of the electorates. This agitation was on for long. All the earlier governments did not recognize it.
And now, with the ill feelings, hate, frustration, and agony associated with the June 12 already buried, and democracy maturing. The other side of the hope is that the redefined democracy will continue to nurture the national unity and cohesion in Nigeria. In Abuja, Musbal Nanwahab, NTA News.
And it is now 3 years since President Muhammadu Buhari took a bold step to validate the June 12, 1993 presidential election by recognizing late Chief MKO Abiola as the winner. Apart from assuaging the feelings of many hurt by the annulment of the election, the move was also aimed at promoting unity and celebrating the popular acceptance enjoyed by the late business mogul. Adeni Taiwo in Lagos takes a look at the impact of that pronouncement on national unity.
Right from the build-up to the conduct and eventual outcome of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, it was clear that Nigerians of different colors, tongues and creeds were united in their desire for a new start and a government of the people by the people. Their mascot of hope was late Chief MKO Abiola, rode on popular acceptance and garnered enough votes to win.
Old and young, without ethnic coloration, without religious coloration, all of them came out in mass and voted overwhelmingly.
And without let or hindrance, chose me as their president. Didn't they? They did.
Lagos, the nation's former capital city and political base of late MKO, is one of the southwestern states where post-election agitation was loud following the annulment of the election.
What we are enjoying today actually came from people's struggle. Those who wanted to be in the army had no option than to give up.
June 12 did not happen only because of Southwesterners. The Southwesterners may be momentarily satisfied when you give them anything, but over a long period of time, you will find out that you cannot keep them excited for long, because what they are asking for, even though they may not be saying it the way I'm saying it, is truly equity.
The move by President Muhammadu Buhari acknowledging late Chief MKO Abiola as the winner of the election posthumously was seen by many as a right step towards validating June 12 election, assuaging the people and promoting unity as the nation celebrates another Democracy Day. Stakeholders hope that the celebration will remind Nigerians of the common front forged and faith exhibited in the country 28 years ago. In Lagos, Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
All right, Sheriff Gali Ibrahim, a professor of political science, University of Abuja, joins me now to deal with the issues raised on June 12th, Democracy Day. You're welcome, Prof, to NTA Weekend File.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so 22 years of democracy. How would you appraise the president's broadcast message this morning?
He was very articulate, and the speech was very apt. He itemized, so many achievements achieved, especially by his administration since 2015, which marked the inception of his emergence, as a democratically elected leader. But 62 years, of independence, with some of these particular involvement of the military in politics, as well as re-emergence of Nigeria into the democratic terrain. We can actually look at the victory of democracy or its futility. And how do we look at that? Nigerians are more or less democratic, in their own, political psyche, because they rejected military rule and they welcomed democracy. Even Abiola then, he also made this particular assertion that Nigerians were ready to embrace democracy. But what we need to look at is looking at some of the major challenges that bedevil democratic practice today, in our entity, in order for us to re-strengthen our democratic movement and journey. I think it's what we should actually
sorry, I'm cutting you. In that regard, did the president's broadcast message do justice to it?
Yes, of course, he did. He, emphasized on some of the insecurity challenges, and I was very happy when he made mention about his commitment that he he supported the military, the security operatives, with all that they desired, in curbing the issue of insecurity in the country, which everybody in this particular country is aware. The support, the financial support, in military hardware procurement, every Nigerian is aware. But the only issue is that when you initiate something, for the stability of this particular entity called Nigeria, I think there is the need to monitor, and evaluate, the whole process. Has this particular thing taken place or not? And this is one of the greatest, let me say, loophole, of the administration. When you provide an avenue for a solution to be provided, to be given, to a particular problem, then you need to actually check, has that particular solution taken place or not? Then there's a part, Mr. President made mention of two, he said two twin evils. These things he made mention are unemployment and poverty. And I was very happy that he made mention of this, because the development of democracy is hinged on these 2 or 3 variables. Why is it so? Because as a democracy, there is the need for that particular freedom, to life, of this particular citizenry. Then apart from this, you also discuss or you talk about the issue of rule of law, freedom of speech, association, and organization, and the rest of them. But democracy cannot thrive when people are in abject poverty, when people are unemployed. And looking at the statistics, if you look at Nigeria, for example, this year, 2021, let's say from March, or let me say the first quarter, you discover that Nigeria has been placed, in terms of global ranking, to be, second, highest in terms of unemployment. Looking at, let's say, sub-Saharan Africa, for example, South Africa having like 32% of its population unemployed, having Nigeria 33.3, unemployed, just beaten by Namibia with 33.4% of its population. So you can see that we need to do more democratically in order to change the situation, in order to reduce unemployment in an entity, so that people will actually derive the dividend of democracy from the, commitment of the government. The government has been committed, actually, especially looking at the social investment programs, investment in making sure that people are lifted out of poverty. And Mr. President also made mention of his plan, his dedication to lift about 100 million people out of poverty. Yes. But the contradiction is that when people look at the COVID-19 pandemic and how it recreated poverty, in the country, but going back to unemployment, before I continue with the poverty rate, you see this unemployment level having 33.3%. Look at Ghana, look at Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Mali, Senegal, Gambia, Mauritania, Liberia, Guinea-Bissau in the western part of Africa. And all these people, in terms of percentage, they have reduced unemployment level better than Nigeria. I think this has to there is the need to make a shift in this particular trend. Going back to Southern Africa, Central Africa, Eastern Africa, that these people have been able to do away with unemployment. They're coming down to poverty. Yes. If you look at the poverty rate, of Nigerians, if you look at from 2019, the statistics showing is that about 41% of Nigerian population, has been in abject poverty. And that there is this particular also forecast that by 2022, which is next year, about 45.1% Nigerians will continue to be in poverty, which is about 109 million Nigerians. So I think democracy really, Mr. President is really trying.
Of course, we have more to dig into. All right, so let's just pause there for now while we take some messages, and when we return, we will continue the discussion. Stay with us.
Hooray! You can now buy and register a new Airtel SIM card and enjoy 8 times bonus on all your recharges. Visit any certified Airtel shop today with your NIN and get instant double data and 8 times bonus on every recharge. If you don't have NIN, you can also register for it at the Airtel shop. This offer is available to all new Airtel customers.
Airtel, the smartphone network. Revision classes on television for students in secondary schools in English and mathematics will commence on the NTA. The revision classes will transmit Mondays to Fridays from 5 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on the network service of the NTA. This is organized in preparation for the various national examinations and orders. This is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Education.
Enjoy faster connectivity and amazing discounts in the Airtel HBB seasonal offer. Get a MiFi for 9,999 Naira plus up to 55 GB data, or a router for 19,999 Naira plus up to 160 GB data. Offer valid while stock lasts. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband by
Airtel, the smartphone network.
On the wings of democracy, Nigeria celebrates June 12. Issues of progressive democracy and nation building on focus on NTA Tuesday Live next week. Tuesday Live, every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. promises to be incisive and educative. Join us.
The ongoing constitution amendment by the National Assembly is to address some of the country's socio-economic and political challenges towards a robust and all-inclusive participatory democracy. In this report, Emmanuel Lene examines how the ongoing constitutional amendment by the National Assembly would enhance the practice of democracy in Nigeria.
Constitutional review is one of the many processes nations seek to improve economic and political credentials and enhance the rule of law. The ongoing constitutional review by the National Assembly is in response to the various agitations and clamor to address some of the lapses that have characterized our democratic processes and other issues that will improve the quality of governance.
Inherently, or fundamentally, there are lapses. For instance, we start with the first section, the first part of the constitution, where it says, "We, the people of Nigeria." At no point in time did Nigerians come together or sit at a point to decide on the framework of any constitution.
Nigeria is supposedly running a federal system of government. But if you look at the 1999 constitution, to all intent and purposes, it appears to be a unitary constitution.
An appreciable number of Nigerians want the review of the fiscal federalism practice and the state police system. Others are calling for the independence of the judiciary, autonomy for local government councils, and review of the immunity clauses, among others. Many believe addressing some of these issues will no doubt enhance Nigeria's democracy.
There are certain components that guarantees the practice of democracy. For instance, in the case of security, 1999 constitution centralizes, we have the Inspector General, he controls, security from Abuja. It's impossible to do so.
Now that the constitutional amendment is ready, allow that place that, look, states can create local government based on their viability.
Many are of the view that if the process is handled without preconceived intentions, it will just be the roadmap needed to addressing the nation's present-day challenges in Port Harcourt. Emmanuel, Lene, NTA News.
All right, so let's get back to our discussion now. I still have with me here Professor Sheriff Gali Ibrahim, a professor of political science, University of Abuja. Quite interesting what the reporter just talked about. Democracy is not a destination, but a journey, which invariably implies that no democracy is perfect. But Nigeria's democracy is still fairly young, isn't it? Now, what are the areas, in your opinion, would you say need serious reforms?
You see, some of the areas of democratic consolidation as a journey that need to be restructured or need to be modified. You know, one of such, we talk of party politics, because party politics is the foundation, is the background. It is the political party that deals with interest articulation and interest aggregation. So it gives political orientation. It also inculcates political culture, you know, among the teeming youth and population of the political environment. It gives them that orientation. It develops a kind of attitude politically for them to emerge as political leaders within an entity. So party politics, we wake up today, we see that, you know, among these political parties, a candidate could win an election, especially primary elections. It is obvious we've seen this particular trend, you know, everywhere, especially in the FCT. Then the party will now come and say, no, that man who has won the primaries should be changed. Bring another person. So where is democracy? Where is the mandate of the people? Or you do not believe in the primaries conducted? It is a representation, representatives of the people who voted for these particular individuals to represent them, you know, at the major elections. So that is why there has to be party discipline, reformation of. In fact, our problems are the political parties. Like in clear-cut ideologies, the party will say this thing, members of the political party will do different thing entirely. So the political party is a drastic political institution, a foundation, you know, of our political and democratic journey. So that is why some people say that the political parties that exist, you know, being bereft of political ideology, where will they take Nigerians to? So first of all, to deal with the issue of party politics, right from the grassroots, let there be a kind of an internal struggle in the sense that these political parties should be established with the major aim of adhering to the party constitution as well as manifesto, and they provide this particular orientation to the political members of the political environment. So but if political party becomes inimical, you know, to its own constitution, party manifesto, as well as the wishes of the electorate, you know, especially those who support that particular political party and vote for candidate from these particular political parties, I think these political parties will be so feeble and weak, and they cannot actually carry out the major responsibilities of political utility to satisfy the citizenry as well as the electorate. So the first thing that we need to do, the political parties.
Yes.
And you should not actually bring in a member, you know, of such a political party if he is not responsive or responsible. And that is why many people are calling for the demolition, or let me say even ignoring the existing political parties by forming another political party. But if you do that, it is still members of these political parties that will run for this one. Why? Because I could remember when Buhari, you know, formed, you know, the CPC, you know, there, now called the APP, now coming down to APC. We've seen members of the PDP, Labour Party, and many other political organizations join. So therefore, what we need is a kind of a strong political party as an institution.
All right.
That is the foundation.
Okay, I just want to quickly get your thoughts on some other, you know, issue just before we round off our discussion. At this point, are you worried by the spate of, you know, attacks on INEC offices and police formations, and of course regional agitations vis-a-vis the practice of democracy in Nigeria?
Yes, of course, I'm very much worried because democracy deals with inclusiveness. Democracy deals with majority rule, minority right. And democracy also dealing with periodic free and fair elections. People should be carried out. In fact, democracy is all about direct involvement or representation. So I see no reason, if you are being represented, you select your leaders to represent you. Why should you go against your choice? If really you have chosen your own leader. Then secondly, if you are allowed to directly get involved, for example, the constitutional amendment process, you know, all the multi-cultural settings, you know, multi-vociferous symbols of this particular entity have been invited to come and submit their own yearnings and aspirations. What do they want? If you do not go there and present your own aspirations as well as wishes, how do you expect this particular entity to be transformed? And then later on, could you say that you've been marginalized, that your voices have not been heard? No, but there is one major thing. There is an obligation with the government. The government should be responsible in the maintenance of internal sovereignty as well as the exercise of external sovereignty.
Okay.
Because the major function of a government is to maintain law and order. And there is no society that will actually fold its own arms and see its institutions, political structures being bastardized, you know, being set, ablaze. So I think it is a savagery, I can say.
Yeah.
It is also lack of commitment to the political system. It is, I think, absolute political apathy, that results, in this particular lack of patriotism in the raising, political institutions such as the offices of the Independent National Electoral Commission.
All right, thank you very much indeed. Sheriff Gali Ibrahim, a professor of political science, University of Abuja. Thank you for walking us through all that.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's take another break. Please stay.
The much anticipated UEFA Euro 2021 is finally here. Can Portugal defend the title they won 4 years ago as they face world champions France, Europe giants Germany, Spain, Italy and England? Catch all the action via live transmission, in-depth studio analysis, fixtures, results, updates, and lots more on NTA, Africa's largest TV network. For sponsorship and advert placement, contact Bola on 08037044286 or Idris on 08034633644. This broadcast is proudly brought to you by NTA in partnership with Media Business Solutions, MBS Sports.
Time to talk sports, and here is Buddy.
Many thanks, Joseph. Let's begin, with the Euro 2020 as the Group B encounter between Finland and Denmark had to be suspended for more than an hour earlier this evening after Danish midfielder Christian Eriksen collapsed towards the end of the first half. Thanks to the medics, he was immediately resuscitated and taken to the hospital.
Well, you can tell immediately, can't you, from players' body language, that this is a country with a social conscience, and they can see the bigger picture. That is hot off the press.
Very privately, of course, as quickly as possible. That.
Thanks goodness he's safe after confirming that Eriksen